If the price of silver were based directly on the real physical silver market, silver's price should be at $5,000 an ounce. I'm not saying that the price of silver will reach $5,000 an ounce. I'm just saying that the actual physical silver spot price is not only extremely undervalued, but that it is an illusion compared to the real value of an ounce of physical silver, since it is totally disconnected from reality. $5,000 may seem totally crazy, but who can pretend knowing exactly how an ounce of silver is worth after decades of manipulation and turning real investors' demand from the physical market to the paper one, and years of exponential monetary printing by all the world's central banks? The actual spot price for silver has no real value and is not legitimate when we seriously compare the real physical silver market to the paper market and its myriad of financial derivatives. The size of the global annual silver market is equal to $5 trillion. According to a recent interview with David Morgan, the annual physical silver production is roughly 1 billion ounces. So with silver trading at $20, this represents a $20 billion market for silver. So the size of the silver market is of $20 billion. This makes for a 250 to 1 ratio between the paper market and the physical silver market, meaning that for every ounce of physical silver, there are 250 ounces of paper silver circulating in several financial products. In other words, only one contract or certificate issued out of 250 could be convertible into physical silver. So let's hypothesize what the price of silver would be directly based on the physical silver market. Today, the actual size of the silver market is 5 trillion. 5 trillion divided by 20 billion, which is the physical market's 250. 250 times 20, which is silver spot price, is $5,000 an ounce. Alright folks, so before we dive into that very interesting and pretty shocking article that's claiming silver should technically be $5,000 an ounce and actually give the mathematical equation of the 250 to 1 ratio, I wanted to shout out the man, the myth, the legendary Salivate Metal, the first silver stacking channel to hit YouTube. He was #1 over a decade ago. It was Salivate Metal, myself, High Ho Silver, Lady Liberty Stacker, Numa Stacker. There is a couple, but Sal was #1. Let's get him to 100,000 subscribers. He's at 96.9K. Let's get him there. He deserves it more than anyone. He's always had my back. He's a great guy, posts great content. Salivate Metal, go check him out. Let's get him to 100K. Go let him know that the Slayer Army is here and has his back. You will love his content as is anyways. And by the way, I'm doing a podcast with Andy Sheckman tomorrow. We're going to start doing them every Wednesday at 1 p.m. So I'll probably have the video up around like 4 or 5 p.m. But yeah, we have a set schedule now every week. You know, it's set in stone. So you'll start seeing Andy Sheckman a lot more on my channel. And if you wanted to purchase from Andy, send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let him know Slayer sent you. Silver sitting at 38.17, so take advantage of this pullback. You know, if silver is going to jump to 39 with 14-year highs and it pulls back, it's not like it's going to stay down. Of course, it's going to go back up to 39 and then, you know, so on and so forth, right? A lot of people think, oh, it went down. What am I doing? Take advantage. You know it's going to go. It was just 39 a couple days ago. Why wouldn't it do that again? Take advantage of lower prices. Anyways, I'll shut up about all that. Let's just jump into this article. This article is insane. I've covered this article a couple times in the past, but they make a good point. And the funniest thing is, when this article was written, July 18th, 2023, silver was $20. So now we will do new math with silver sitting at $38 and see what it technically should be. I mean, if it's $5,000 and they're talking about silver at 20, then imagine what $38 would be. So let's jump into this. And remember, this is hypothetical. They're just talking about if we lived in a fairy tale of where there was no corruption, no manipulation, nothing shady going on behind the scenes. This is what it technically should be. And he says, I'm not saying that it will He's just saying it should be. And how could you tell what the price of silver would be after years and years of market manipulation and exponential, or how did he say that? Right here. But who could pretend knowing exactly how an ounce of silver is worth after decades of manipulation and turning real investors' demand from the physical market to the paper one? I mean, you can't. You can't. It's just a guess, right? So keep that in mind. So if the price of silver were based directly on the real physical silver market, silver's price should be at $5,000 an ounce. I'm not saying that the price of silver will reach $5,000 an ounce. I'm just saying that the actual physical silver spot price is not only extremely undervalued, but that it is an illusion compared to the real value of an ounce of silver. It truly is. I mean, if you think about how valuable silver is, how beneficial it is, how critical it is to make the world go round, where gold is sitting at, what's gold's price today? Gold is sitting at $3,326, but it doesn't do anything. Silver should be $3,326 and gold should be $38, because gold just sits around and worn on people's necks, right? It's for jewelry, coins, bars, jewelry, earrings, right? There's a little bit of gold in technology, but nowhere near the amount of silver. So why is silver so much cheaper? Well, it's purposely, right? It's purposely suppressed, and you're seeing these other, especially overseas, like the Shanghai Gold Exchange, all these other countries are taking advantage of the Western suppression. So anyways, let's keep moving on. So $5,000 may seem totally crazy, but who could pretend knowing exactly how an ounce of physical silver is worth after decades of manipulation? So we had the physical versus the paper market. The actual spot price for silver has no real value and is not legitimate when we seriously compare the real physical market to the paper market and its myriad of financial derivatives. Now, according to an article by Bloomberg, now these numbers are going to be a little different now, but when we're talking about these types of highs, it really doesn't matter to the exact dollar. You get an idea that silver is extremely undervalued to the umpteenth degree. So Bloomberg says the size of the global annual silver market is 5 trillion. So 5 trillion, and then they're saying that the annual physical silver production is roughly 1 billion. So with silver trading at $20, this represents a $20 billion market, right? Because he's saying the annual physical silver production is 1 billion, silver's at 20, so that's a $20 billion market. So the size of the physical market's 20 billion. So this is what I was always trying to say as well. And actually, I'll go into that point next. So they make a key point here. The difference between 5 trillion and the 20 billion number is that Bloomberg's 5 trillion number represents the entirety of the paper silver market, including all paper financial products, certificates, options, ETFs, etc., derived from the real physical market. That allows investors to be exposed to silver, right? That's how they suppress it, because they're pretending like the market's 5 trillion, but it really is only around 20 billion. So think about that. And this is why I say if you can't hold it, you don't own it. That makes a 250 to 1 ratio. So every ounce of silver you hold in your hand, 250 other people theoretically think they own that same ounce. That's why I say if you can't hold it, you don't own it. This makes for a ratio, or a 250 to 1 ratio between the paper market and the physical market. Meaning that every ounce of physical silver, there are 250 ounces of paper silver circulating in several financial products. In other words, only one contract or certificate issued out of 250 could be convertible into physical silver. And that is how the silver market is being leveraged 250 to 1. Now, these numbers might have adjusted here and there a little bit, but it's not about getting the exact number. You get the idea of what they're saying. And if anything, it's probably even worse now or higher now than these numbers. But that's not the point. The multiplication of those financial products on silver has skirted investors' demand from the real physical market, thus creating a virtual silver supply without putting any pressure on the physical silver market, a roundabout way of keeping the price low. If now, as the regulation agencies are claiming, the goal is to create a new fixing for silver, that would better reflect the physical market, notably from pressure coming from countries like China wishing to have their say in the fixing of precious metals prices. The leverage between the paper silver and physical silver is at risk of radically evolving. And since this article came out, it definitely has. Let's hypothesize what the silver price would be directly based on the physical silver market. So now we're going to add in $38 though. According to Bloomberg, it's 5 trillion. 5 trillion divided by 20 billion is 250. So we would do 250 times 38 instead of 20, which puts silver at $9,500 an ounce. Now, I'm not saying that silver will hit that. That's not even the point. The point is that silver is extremely undervalued, and if we were living in a perfect world where supply and demand, that core fundamentals affected the price, then we would see these types of numbers to some extent. But it's been so suppressed, so manipulated to such an insane degree, an illegal degree. I mean, if you look at the COMEX, or if you read some of Ted Butler's articles that he's posted about the COMEX corruption, how illegal the stuff is that they're doing behind the scenes. I mean, JP Morgan just got fined $920 million for fixing the silver market. And JP Morgan, a lot of their top guys own the SLV, the biggest paper silver market. That's insane. That's not ironic, right? This is how they do it. It's as plain as this. You don't got to overcomplicate it. Right? It's that simple. And if you're looking at it realistically, if you want a mathematical equation on what silver should be if it weren't manipulated, this is what we get. And that is insane to think. But how insane is it? If we would say that gold could go to $10,000 someday, then what would silver do? Why could gold go to $10,000 when it's only used for coins and bars and jewelry and necklaces and watches and earrings? But you have something like silver that is needed 1,000,000 times more than gold to make the world go round, especially in military and aerospace and going green. With it extremely scarce, the LBMA admitted that their vaults are at record lows. I mean, if gold could go to 10,000, then why couldn't silver go to 100? That makes no sense. Just like back in ancient biblical times, they saw silver as valuable as gold. The gold to silver ratio was 2.5 to 1. 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. And that was back when they understood silver's properties, that it can purify water. It has antimicrobial properties, right? It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, and light sensitivity. Nothing is comparable to silver. So why is it only $38, but gold could be $4,000 an ounce when it does absolutely nothing? It makes no sense. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I just want to keep it short and sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you understood the point. The point wasn't me making a video saying silver's going to hit 5,000. That wasn't the point. The actual price wasn't the point. The whole point was to show first show how suppressed, how devalued silver's price is, how disconnected it is, and if we lived in a fair world, what it could be. That was the point of this. Not saying silver's going to hit $5,000. A lot of people will probably take that out of context and say that, but that's not the point. Anyways, folks, make sure you go subscribe to Salivate Metal. Let's get him to 100K. We can do it. He already jumped up 400 subscribers since I promoted yesterday his channel. So 400 of you, I'm sure he's still got naturally, subscribers on his own, but, several of you have been helping out. He really does deserve it. He paved the way. He's the pioneer. He was the first silver stacking channel on YouTube that actually made like silver stacking videos. And I could even show, if I go to oldest, like look at this, 12 years ago, he was the one saying or paving the way of actual, silver type videos, right? That was Sal. And then I started coming in and I saw these types of videos about 10 years ago. And, I started doing unboxing videos. If you go to my videos and push oldest, you'll see a lot of my content like this, unboxing videos, bullion versus numismatics, or setting a poll, like, do you like coins or bars better, And that's how a lot of the original silver stacking community was. It really wasn't as news based. It was more like unboxing type videos and stuff like this, and doing polls and asking, the chat, what they like better, pandas or kookaburras or whatever. And then it kind of got into news as we all understood, at least myself. I started to understand how the markets worked better, and I started, as I was learning from stacking, I started my content, and my content reflected that, right? But anyways, yeah, go check out Sal. He is an awesome dude. He truly is, the OG. So go support them. Go, let them know Slayer sent him. The Slayer fam is strong out here. I know you guys will. I love you, Sal. Thanks for having my back through everything, and I hope you hit 100K soon. I think he did say that he was thinking about doing something fun for it, but that is a huge milestone, and I really can't wait for him to get there because he deserves it more than anyone. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Folks, I'm so excited to announce that I've partnered with American medical experts, whose purpose is helping veterans get the medical benefits that they truly deserve. Over 17 million veterans aren't receiving their full benefits, and if this is you or someone you know, then act now. American medical experts are offering free consultations through our med team to see how we can help. The med team offers board-certified doctors who have experience working with the VA, comprehensive medical evidence for services like mental health as well. Some of these include your Nexus letter, your DBQs, your TDIUs, your AAs, and more. I want to personally thank American medical experts for helping veterans, but also giving me an opportunity to help veterans as well. Click the link in the description or the pinned comment to get a free consultation through our med team. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless.